What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to share with you the #1 tip on how you can secure your first rental property in this competitive market and how I was able to use this method to save $30,000 off of my initial purchase price. And I'm guaranteeing you that you're gonna be able to do this too on your first property. So I'm gonna make sure to get right into the point, but before we do, at 500 subscribers, I'm picking 2 people to walk completely through their first deal. You're gonna get my number, be able to pick my brain, ask me any questions you want along the way, and I'm gonna make sure that you get to closing and get the keys in your hand on your first property. So if that interests you, subscribe down below. Make sure you smash the like button to send this out to more people so we can get there faster. With that being said, let's get right into the video. All right guys, so I'm gonna split this video up into 2 parts. The first part is the Mr. Tip, and the second part, how I got $30,000 off of the purchase price. So the first tip is you're gonna submit the highest and best offer to secure the property. Now I know what you're thinking. You don't wanna submit the highest offer and overpay for the property, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna run the numbers, make sure that it's a killer deal and somewhere that you're comfortable purchasing the property if you end up having to pay that much. Now, if you don't know how to run the numbers and find the cash flow on your property that you're comfortable with, I have that in a couple videos back that I'm not gonna be explaining here, so make sure you check it out. So tip #1 is submit the highest and best offer to secure the property, and that's when the negotiation begins. After they accept your offer, that's when you then have leverage to negotiate. So in a competitive market, there's no room to go and lowball houses or you're never gonna get the deal. You'll find, and you probably heard, that houses are going for $20,000, $25,000 over asking price. So even if you're offering the asking price, you're most likely not gonna get it, or you're gonna be in a bidding war with 5 other people. But that's okay. My property was listed at $135,000 and there were 5 other people that were interested at that listing price. So what their agent did, they came back and they said, we're gonna need the highest and best offer by this date to all 5 of us. So what I had to do, I had to go and run the numbers and make sure that I could purchase this property where I was comfortable at. It was listed for $135,000 and it would have been cash flowing over 20%. So what I did, I made sure to run the numbers at 140, 150, 160,000. And I realized even at $160,000, my property was gonna be cash flowing at a 17.33%. And that was still gonna be an amazing deal. Now that's $25,000 over the asking price, but I knew if I had to pay that much for the property, that it would still be a great deal and I would be fine. So rule #1 and tip #1, offer the highest and best price that you're comfortable going in at to make sure you secure that deal and get your offer accepted. And then once you get it accepted, that's when the negotiation begins. Now, after you get your offer accepted, that's when all the power's in your hands. Now, if you're familiar with real estate, you know that you have 15 days to get inspections done and to figure out what is wrong with the property. Whenever you get the inspections done, you find out everything that's wrong, whether it's roof, whether it's plumbing, whether it's electrical issues. You're able to get the home inspection and then get estimates on how much money that will cost. You then take those estimates back to the seller and you're able to negotiate the price down off of the top dollar. So for my example, if I purchased the property at $160,000 and there were $15,000 in repairs that were gonna need done, I could then go back and get $15,000 off of the 160 and purchase it for 145. Now that's the typical and normal way that people will try to negotiate price, but that's not the trick on how I secured $30,000 off. Now, whenever you enter a contract and get your offer accepted, you're able to put in contingencies to get you out of the deal if all else fails. Now, the 2 main contingencies that you get are the home inspection. So if anything comes up that you don't like, you're able to back out of the deal, and the lending. If you're not able to get the lending for the property, then you can also leave and back out of the deal. And in my case, it was the lending contingency that was able to secure me $30,000 and knock that off of my initial offer price. So here's what happened. Whenever you buy a house, for the bank to lend you that amount of money, the house needs to appraise for that exact amount. If it doesn't, the bank's not gonna lend you that money because they see it risky. They're not gonna lend money more than what the asset is worth. So that's why it's so important to get the house under contract with the highest and best offer. During the negotiation process, when the seller has 5 people bidding on the house, they're in fairy tale land thinking their house is worth so much money, when in reality, the bank isn't going to lend you money if the house isn't worth that value. So I got the offer accepted for $25,000 over asking price at 160 grand. But when the bank came and appraised the house, it was only worth 130,000. And that's when you have all the leverage in the deal. During the process of buying your house, the bank normally doesn't appraise the house for about a month or a month and a half into actually buying the deal. So the whole time the seller thinks they're getting 160,000, and then wham, their house is only worth 130. So they have two options. They can either relist the property on the market, and then they just wasted a month and a half of thinking they were going to sell their house, or they can come down to what the house is actually worth and sell it to you for that much. Now, them relisting the property at the initial price is highly unlikely, because if they relist it at, say, the 160,000, then they're going to need a cash buyer to come in and buy that property. And then the chances of them finding a cash buyer are slim to none. Or they're going to have to find somebody that will accept the lending for 130,000 and then also bring an extra $30,000 cash on top of closing to finish off the 160 purchase price. So they realize that's unrealistic. And at that moment is whenever they come down to earth and they sell you their property for the actual value. And that's how I was able to get $30,000 off of my initial offering price. Like I said, it was listed at 135 and I offered at 160. When the house was appraised, the bank said it's only worth 130, and that's all the money they're going to lend on the property. So they had the stress of the deal falling through if they didn't come down. Now, the seller was confused at first, but after the real estate agent did some explaining to them, they realized that their best option was to come down and sell the house at a $30,000 discount, because if they had to relist the property, they would have had to relist it at 130 grand because that's what it was worth. So what you're going to take away from this video: to secure the property in a market like this, you're going to offer your highest and best and make sure that you get it under contract. And then throughout the process, after the lender gets the house appraised, that's whenever you go back and you renegotiate the price with the seller. And you are the only one that's able to do that because you beat out everybody else in the beginning by offering highest and best. And when you renegotiate that price with the seller, they come to realization that their property is only worth a certain amount, X amount of money, and that's the amount of money that you're going to get the property for. So I hope you learned something in this video: how you're going to secure your first property in a competitive market and how you're going to get money knocked off the top purchase price. And if you did, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below and like the video, because at 500 subscribers, I'm picking 2 of you and I'm going to walk you through your first deal just like this so you can secure your first property and be on your way to financial freedom and get out of the 9-to-5 job. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video. All right, guys, peace out.